Well, friend, I'm sitting here because I have a very special announcement that I want to share with you today on this Lord's Day morning. And God has given me a vision for the city of Memphis. Yes, our beautiful city of Memphis, Tennessee. And the vision is think before you act nonviolence week, beginning April 4th through April 10th in memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, the purpose of this is to reduce crime in our city. And you know, when we think in terms of crime, crime is at a very high rate here in the city of Memphis, Tennessee. And God has given me 10 initiatives in order to make this happen. Now, what I want to speak about just two of them. That is our Memphis City school system, and we are encouraging all the teachers in their classroom to speak for 5 minutes to their children and have a discussion about nonviolence. And also to all of the churches and the pastors here in the city of Memphis. And I'm asking all the pastors that are viewing this telecast this morning and all of you that are viewing, I want you to pass this on. Think before you act. Because as I remember a few weeks ago, the security guard that was killed in Southland Mall, I live in Whitehaven, and as I drove by the mall, I began to meditate upon what took place in Southland Mall. And God spoke to me and said, the people are not thinking, they are reacting, but they are not thinking before they act. And you remember I shared a message with you that was entitled Hearing and Knowing God's Voice. Well, I hear and I know God's voice. And God spoke to me and said that people are not thinking. And God spoke that into my spirit. And from that, I'm speaking to you today. Think before you act. And I'm encouraging you, want you to get involved in this effort in order to reduce crime in our city. To your children, tell them to think before they act. When you send them off to school, tell them to think before they act, because your action have consequences. If you think right, you will do right. And so crime is a very high rate in our city. And again, this is in memory of Dr. Martin Luther King, and it is beginning April 4th through April 10th, 7 days. Join us, and we're going to spread a quilt over the city of Memphis. And speaking of a quilt, I remember years ago as a boy growing up, my mother would make a quilt, and I would see her go and get all of these pieces of different sizes and different colors, and she would join them together. And when she was finished with that, it was one whole. That was a quilt. And we as citizens of the city of Memphis in Shelby County are pieces of the covering, pieces of this quilt. And when all of us come together with one common cause, we can spread over the city of Memphis of think before you act. Nonviolence week. And I know that God is going to give us victory. And I want you to know this also. When you begin to think before you act, you become your judge and the jury, and then your own attorney. And you won't have to go downtown to 201 Poplar, because you will become your judge and your jury based upon your actions. And through this, I really want to give the judges a recess. I want to give the juries a vacation, the lawyers a break, because I know that if we join together in this effort, I know that crime is going to be reduced, because I believe that God spoke this into my spirit, and I'm speaking it to you. Join us in this effort of sharing this and spreading it around. I want this to resonate throughout this community. Think before you act. And just the other day, I'm sure that you heard about this woman that was murdered there in the motel. That really comes close home here, because her mother is a member of a church. I remember when the child was born, and her mother is a member of our church, and certainly we are praying for the Millbrook family and all of the families that are going through the hour of bereavement because someone has taken your loved one's life. And I want you to join us, pastors that are listening to me today. Please, this is my plea to you. Join us, speak to your congregation, and tell them to speak to the people that they meet. Think before you act, because there are consequences to our actions. I know you're going to do it. This is not just for me. This is for everyone. For who knows who would be next. If you can avoid someone from committing a crime just by telling them, think before you act. And I want you to join us. Everybody around the city is joining us. We've gone to the city council, and they have drawn up a resolution and signed a document that the whole city is involved in this effort. And it is beginning April 4th. That is Sunday, April 4th through Saturday, April 10th. Join us in this nonviolent week here in the city of Memphis, Tennessee. And I know that God is going to give us victory. I want you to do that. Pass it on. That is my plea to you today. Pass this on to all of those that you meet. Think before you act. If you think right, you will do right. God bless you, and I know you're going to do that. And I pray God's blessings upon your family and all the families that are going through the hour of bereavement. We pray God's blessings upon you, and I pray that God will continue to bless your family and be in health, even as your soul prospereth.